All right. So I have today a book haul, and it's a pretty big one. Um, that's what book months do to me. So let's get into it. We got one, two, three, four, five stacks here. I'm gonna try and sort them kind of as I haul them, so that I can stick them in there easier. But let's go. First up, I will say, I think the giant lots of books from eBay are done now. I have a couple like singles here and there coming, but no more big lots. Anyway, I have the second volume of The Birds of Shangri-La, uh, which got a little bit wet, but this is a BL manga, or the first volume this month actually, and I'm interested enough to continue on. I don't think there are that many volumes out, but I do have the second one here as well. I've got some mass market horror paperbacks. I have The Darkening by Chandler McGrew, which has a tagline here: "The clock is ticking on the dying of the light," which could have been cooler, I'm not gonna lie. Although we do have like Big Blackout, The World's Salvation is Dylan Barnes, a martial arts instructor, and Lucy Devereaux, who is a private investigator. Fun times. Then we've got The Presence by Rogers Clemens, which has the most interesting cover I've ever seen in my entire life. We've got, hold up, this is giving me the Raft vibes. So we've got these people on like this platform, but there's like this oozy thing that's coming up. Interesting. Something lay there in the lake, something huge, murderous, and frighteningly intelligent. That might be a video once I read this, taking this, comparing it to the Raft, because it's got a very similar premise. All right, so I've got the original version of The Woods Are Dark by Richard Lehman. I actually didn't really like The Woods Are Dark because I think he's done it so much better. And I know that this is kind of his big one, and this original version was really apparently like cut up, and it doesn't make much sense. So I'm interested to see how it differs from the complete and uncut version, which is the one that I have read. I've got some Robert R. McCammon. This is Mine, which is like a lady kidnaps some other lady's baby, which should be fun. And it's Robert R. McCammon, who is very who's kind of a classic in his own right. He wrote Swan Song, so it should be fun. We've got a short story collection anthology, Narrow Houses by Peter Crowther. We've got Andrew Vox. I know Andrew Vox. There's no Ramsey Campbell. I didn't like Ramsey Campbell all that much. Who else is in here? Ray Bradbury, Chet Williamson, Richard Chismar, Ramsey Campbell, the Vox. Those are okay. I recognize Jan Williamson. I have one or two of his books. I haven't read anything by him yet, but there's that. All right, so we've got Shadow of the Beast by Gerald DePego, which looks like a fun one. If you see that cover there, we got In the Savage Wilderness, the darkest side of human nature comes to light, the most terrifying survival novel since Deliverance. So it looks fun. We've got Fears by Charles L. Grant. Not stories about them, stories made of them. Oh, this is the fourth in the series, so this will have to be kind of put on the back burner there. We got Bugged by Donald F. Glut. Eaten alive by bugs, screamed the headlines, and the terror-stricken panic began. My God, they're eating me alive. Fun. This looks fun. This looks very fun. I'm not gonna lie. It looks awesome. All right. So then we got another manga here. This is the first volume of Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead. I watched the first episode of the anime before I got rid of Crunchyroll, and I thought it looked really, really fun. So I figured I would get the manga because I really I really am digging the trend of like the stories about these like overworked and depressed office workers that seem to be kind of popping up more and more, and it just looks lots of fun. We also have the first volume of Banana Fish, because I've been watching the show on Amazon Prime, which is the one streaming service I still have, and it is very good. And so I figured it was time to get into the manga, which is actually old. Like this is from like the 80s, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting, kind of fun. It's gonna be a good. Well, it's gonna be a good time. It's not something you ever say about Banana Fish, but it's gonna be. Enjoy. I'm gonna read it. All right. We have the Midnight Tour by Richard Lehman, which is the third book in the Beast House trilogy. I have read The Cellar and Beast House, and I had fun with them both, and so I'm excited to finish up the series. This one is the biggest of them by far, which looks fun. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. I've got a good chunk of Lehman in here, and that one I think is probably what I'm most excited about. I have The House of Cain by Ken Yulo, which looks like a vampire thing if I just look at the front there. It's 1966. We got Millhouse, which is a town. Fun times. We've got some Whitley Strieber. We have The Night Church. Again, like his nonfiction is really weird and boring. His fiction is so fun. Like I read, what was it called? It's called like The Howling, The Wolfen. The Wolfen was super fun. We got The Awful Terror and the Night Has Finally Found a Home. If we look at that cover art there, that's awesome. All right. Speaking of awesome cover art, this one wins. This is Nightstone by Rick Halta. I don't know if you can see. It's got one of those things where it kind of goes between your child's face and it's got a skull. It's awesome. They got the old house in Maine was a haven for evil. I don't know what it is about fucking Maine. All right. Yeah. So we got new house. The stones ooze with blood. We got a great time here. All right. So we got a couple volumes of Heartstopper. They're going to become a couple of them kind of scattered in here, but we got volume 1 here first of all, as well as volume 4. I've only ever read the first volume. The same with I've only ever watched the first season of the show before I got rid of Netflix. But I do have that. The other two are in here somewhere. We'll have Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda, which I have not read since high school. So it'll be fun to reread, I think. We have Loveless by Alice Oseman, and I remember when Alice Oseman was on Tumblr, like right before Radio Silence came out. She was talking about this book she was writing. She was fairly popular on Tumblr, but I do remember that very vividly. But anyway, I've never read any of her like prose work. I never have. I know she's super popular. I know she's apparently very, very talented. I mean, I've read Heartstopper, so I know like a vague idea of it, but I do have this now. We have Meet Cute Diary, which I do remember being relatively fun when it came out. This is about this guy who just fakes this like meet cute blog situation, then everybody finds out that they're like fake stories, and it's a fun time. We have Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me, which I did hear a lot about when it came out, as well as the third volume of Heartstopper. All right, we've got the next book in a series, and this series, so I read the first volume. It's about the same size as this one. Pretty meh. I did read it. This one is, not very big. It's Letourneau's Used Auto Parts by Carolyn Shute. The third book in the series is this big. Like, it's this big. I don't know how we got from these two, because the first one is about the size 2 to one that's this big. Anyway, but this is about awful poor people who live in Maine. All right. We've got, oh geez, another continuation of a series, Wolf Soul by Jane Lindskold. I think I've read like the first 3 or 4 of these books, but it's one of the series that I do have random books in, so I've been continuing to collect them up so that I can finish the series. Fantasy situation. We have Daughter of Blacklake by Kathy Marie Buchanan, which is, I believe, some kind of fantasy mystery situation. It was $3. That's why I bought it. So there's that. We have another continuation of a manga We've got volume 6 of Given. I've read the first 3 volumes, but I've been continuing to collect, you know, the series, you know, because it's Given and it's wonderful. We have The Sinner and the Scholar by Lana Pachirzik. I did my best. This is a self-published, I think, romance situation, but it is gorgeous. Like, when I see self-published books like this, I'm like, oh my god, I have to step up my game, but then I remember that this costs them so much money. And I'm not really about that life, so I do my best what I can do on my own in Microsoft Word. But I don't really know what this is about very much, but I do have it. Got the first volume of The Heroic Legend of Arslan. This is one of those series where I read the 3rd volume and then I wanted to go back and start from the beginning. So I have volume 1. It's a fantasy situation with the same person who wrote Full Metal Alchemist. We've got volume 2 of Heartstopper. Got I Wish You All the Best by Mason Deaver, which was kind of big when it came out. It's about this kid who comes out to their family and then gets kicked out for it. So great time for him. We do have also Stephen King's new book. I knew it came out in like April or something. I don't know. It came out at least a month ago. You Like It Darker, short stories. We have Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Secret of the Universe, which I have also not read since like high school. No, it's been a little bit. It's been more recent than that. But no, this is a beautiful book, and all those awards on the side are deserved. We've got Mooncakes, and this is like this deluxe special edition situation, because this is not what it looked like when I saw the paperback that people were doing a long time ago, but it is fantasy graphic novel situation. Bloom by Kevin Panetta and Savannah Garnacho, which is graphic novel. We have, oh geez, a disaster waiting to happen. They both die at the end, and the first to die at the end. I have read this one, have not read this one. So again, I don't know how we grow this much between books in the series. It's a mystery. We do have a second copy of this. Leave me alone. All right, we got some more Layman. We have Dark Mountain, which fun. It's a camping situation with people in the woods. I hope they start eating people. I really do. We have The Underneath by Kathy Appelt, which is a Newbery. This is one that will probably go in the classroom once I read it. Same with What the Dickens by Gregory Maguire, which is the story of a rogue tooth fairy. It looks like a kind of fun situation there. Inkspell by Cornelia Funk, which I remember I tried to read when I was like, I don't know, 8, and I just couldn't do it. Like, it was not my thing. There are like 4 books of that's done that to me. This one, Johnny Tremaine, Aragon, but now I don't give up, so it'll be done. Darkwood by M.E. Breen. When Night Falls, Beware the Forest. Fun times. House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer, which is, I think I did read this one, but I didn't really care. I think there was a lot of skimming involved for 10-year-old Aurora when I read this one. Got Vivid and Omni, book 1 in the Omni duology, and I think this is just an unrelated book. They're by the same author, both by Andrea Murray. Mockingbird by Catherine Erskine. British Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. Lots of Catherines. The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. Bones of Fairies by Janie Lee Sinner. Siminer, not Sinner. I'm going to move you a little bit here. We've got a hardcover of The Dead by Charlie Higson, and unfortunately it didn't come with the dust jacket. Like, that's why I bought it from eBay, because like they send, you know, a picture of what they're sending you, like, and so this one had the dust jacket, so I thought I'd be safe, but it wasn't. I wanted the dust jacket. This is like I'm trying to do with these what I did with the Gone series, and no dust jacket, so I'm gonna have to try again, I think. I don't know. The False Prince, which is a great book for struggling, like, middle school boys who you can't get to read, is the False Prince series. Speak, which will be fun to read when I'm not teaching. The True Meaning of Smek Day by Adam Rex. In our last stack here, we got some more layman. We have Endless Night, which should be fun. It's got the same kind of vibe as a lot of his other books, where we've got some people and they're just trying to survive from this, like, certain person. It's just it'll be a fun time. Also, we got my favorite Richard Lehman book, In the Dark, so it'll be fun to reread. We've got The Killer Inside Me by Jim Thompson, which has all sorts of, like, praise on it. It's vintage crime. It's got Stanley Kubrick on the front. Should be a good time. All right, we got American Gods by Neil Gaiman, which I've never read. I haven't read very much Gaiman in my life. I've read, I think I read The Graveyard Book when I was young. I've read Coraline, and I read The Ocean at the End of the Lane, but I haven't read much from him. So, seems like a good one. All right, Carrie by Stephen King. We've got The Love Wager by Lynn Painter, which I'm kind of trying to get more into romance, just because it's such a big genre. I'm curious. Like, my interest has been piqued, but there's that. I'm gonna pull you guys farther over here. Got another original copy of The Woods Are Dark, as well as Night in Lonesome October, but in a nice paperback and not like that self-published crap that I got in the last book one. We have a hardcover of The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon, which is great because I don't have a hardcover of this version of this book. This is one that I do not have, which is awesome because at this point in my life, unless it's a special situation like my copy of The Green Mile, which is in the serialized format, or if it's like The Long Walk that doesn't have a hardcover release, all of my Stephen King's been hardcover. And so I'm glad to have this, even though I have read this one before. It's not my favorite, but I'll give it a reread. We have the first book in the Misfits series by Lisa Yee. And I did not realize until I was flipping through this is the same lady who wrote Millicent Man, Girl Genius, which I loved when I was a kid. So it should be fun. Children's Once It's Done will probably go straight to the classroom. Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill, which I did have read previously. Burnt Offerings by Robert Marasco. Fun times. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. I've read what I've read by Hendrix. Final Girl Support Group and My Best Friend's Exorcism. So we'll see. And then again, in terms of, I don't have the hardcover for this. However, I don't really like this cover. So if I could find like the original hardcover somewhere, it'd probably be replaced with that one. That's Pet Sematary. Like I said, like I much prefer the original cover for this one. The new cover, I'm not a big fan. But if I could get this could be like a placeholder until I can find an original cover for that. But yeah, that is that. Like I said, I think that's all the big lots from eBay. There's still singles coming in, as well as random books from Amazon, but it's the 23rd. I've got like a week before I can't buy any more books till October. So we'll see. That is all. I'll talk to you later, and goodbye.